everyone, I am Gara Dreamer. This is my, I don't even know how many times attempt recording because my storage space is a little bit low. But I am creating an indie show called Divine Daughters. It is a magical girl show, 2D animated, about mental health, specifically the somewhat shortcomings that we as a society have about supporting each other, and not out of negligence or anything, just out of, well, a little bit sometimes. But sometimes having the best intentions coming across poorly and getting a little emotional where we have a lot of vitriol at people we shouldn't be. So this project is about that, and to bring back some magical girl joy to the world, because because deeper stories are often about the struggle, a lot of people associate at this point dark with good story instead of light having a good story. And I feel like we definitely need some positivity right about now. So this is meant to be somewhat a positive, somewhat corny story. It is evolving into deeper and darker than I'd actually prefer. But it is meant to be uplifting and lighthearted. Divine Daughters, it's called that because it is inspired by Greek mythology. I have a team of, I will be honest, I forgot the number at the moment, but I can quickly look that up. With myself included, would be, nope, not you. Sorry about the camera shake, it's me attempting to navigate with the phone here. Yeah, 21 members at the moment, including scriptwriters, concept artists, animators, voice actors, far too many voice actors. And what I wanted to do was show y'all what that actually looks like, because I think there's a little bit of a misconception about producing a project like this, that if you are just producing, especially I've noticed in like the video game world, because that's where I didn't mean to go in there. I went to something called I Need a Team on Reddit, and that area is mostly focused towards indie games. And I did not know that going in. It doesn't really make that super clear. But still, as a result, I still get notifications, and I still notice the trend that there is a kind of misunderstanding about what directing and creating this kind of thing actually takes. People seem to think that doing that part itself is a tiny task. Like, oh, you're just doing the fun. No. There is a lot that goes into that. You are building the structure, the bones of the project. So I do have here, basically what I'm gonna try to go over is, my screen recorder will only take 15 minutes at a time, and I'm hyperverbal. So what I'm gonna try to do instead, as you can see under here, it says 83 tabs. This is my master document for Divine Daughters. So I'm gonna try to instead take this essentially one tab at a time. And this is simply to get content out there, because we are still working on what is currently our 34-second promo. And we does mean me. One thing I also made sure to do was not to try to demand impossible tasks for each individual person at their job, and the only way to do that is to start learning that job. especially if if somebody leaves that area or if you can't find someone to fill that position, it's a great time to go ahead and see if you can do it yourself. So as a result, what has often happened is that I'm kind of at the moment, I was already starting at a jack of all trades place, but the more you learn, the more you realize how not very high level you are. Like, you thought you were high up, and then the more you learn, the more you realize just how beginner you actually are in each stage. So that's that overview. This series is just basically going to show y'all the process of that. Not a lot of fun yet. I will go into art whenever I have a chance. In fact, I can probably do it in this video. But for the moment, Divine Daughters is right here. It's, like I said, mental health, magical girls. I have 3 main characters, Rose, Luna, and Pearl, and the tone is supposed to be the classic magical girl, and the best example that's modern day of that tonal shift that most magical girls get down is probably Steven Universe, where it starts out super corny and sweet, and then evolves into deep emotional issues. That's how most magical girl shows actually approach it. Madoka Magica is an exception in that it was faster. Usually you wait a couple seasons, they did it in episode 3. But that's not unique to Madoka Magica. That is multiple magical girl shows. Let me double check because it does not like to let me know when it stops recording. I've noticed. Alright, I'm about halfway through. Okay. So the usual themes are female empowerment, friendship, and love. That's still going to be the theme. But the main theme here is awareness and acceptance. So that specifically means that we are not going to do this. I need to figure out where to put it in the pilot, because that's an exception, but we're not going to be doing this coding mental health as something else thing. We're going to be using the direct terms. And the reason for that is because of the fact that it makes fake claiming easier if you are not directly showing the representation of it. And something else to note is that, of course, the research will also be being put in this project. The Rose, Luna, and Pearl are all psychology students, so their civilian life is in the classroom directly learning about psychology. There's a little bit of twist into how that classroom actually works. You get a little bit more advanced and directed things, but one of the first things that we did that I remember learning in my psychology class, and a conversation I specifically had, was learning about terminology and the boredom that came with that for a lot of people. But there's a reason you start with that. Alright. Poltergeists are the Monster of the Week formula. So I had a little bit of trouble explaining this for a while to my team, but the idea of a poltergeist is that they are mental break moments, not the illness itself, and not any being upset, but specifically a mental break moment is, for example, like a panic attack or a depressive episode. What happens here is that, and this is a magical thing that's happening, so there is an outside force causing people with these things to manifest them, but they have to do it in the first place. So you have a mental break, and a cloud of smoke forms from inside you and slowly takes shape based on what emotion you're feeling in that moment and what kind of mental thought process spiral is going through your head. And whatever that is physically infecting people around it. Once the monster takes shape, it can separate and attack others, and it cannot be killed. It is something that is specifically not able to be dealt with in a physical way. You can restrain it so that it won't hurt others, because it is going to naturally try to cause destruction. But you cannot stab it or anything like that and effectively get rid of it. The only way to get rid of it is to heal the person who manifested it in the first place. They have to let go of whatever emotion, whatever thought that they had that created it. And each magical girl has a healing ability to do that. So that's what all of these are. I'm going to try to make sure if you all want to read this, you can, but I also understand if you do not. They all have inherent misunderstandings in some way, shape, or form, too. So that is the overview. We are pushing on time. But to give you an idea here of where I'm actually at, there's a few things that I want to do here. First, showing the table of contents, because each of these is their own link to most of them being self-explanatory. Some I've had to explain, so they aren't, but here they all are. And I have 16 episode plan. Alright, let me go ahead and show you all some of the art, because, well, my beginner ass originally designed some true crap. Before I had, again, I've been learning art. So I have definitely grown in that way. But let's go to, probably character reference is the best place to go for this. So Teeth specifically is our character designer, and she goes above and beyond the position she has and is much more high level than most. It's much more much more high level than me. So here y'all actually have, I do not want to be blocking off Pearl there. Here y'all guys actually have slideshow version, maybe, hopefully. No, we're gonna be doing that. Okay, I see how y'all are. Alright, well this is the best view I can gonna get apparently in the time zone. So here is Rose, her thing is unconditional love. Luna is about harsh truths. And Pearl is about wisdom through experience. So they've all got trauma, but she's got trauma. Pearl's goddess is Athena. Rose's is Aphrodite. Luna is Artemis. And all of them are chosen directly by the Greek goddesses because of their similar morality and because of their, in some way, healing ability just naturally as a person. So they get to inherit, essentially, the powers of the goddesses and in order to fight off poltergeists. So they all have the ability to restrain and the ability to heal. Callie is the first host, who's still in the middle of design, which is why she's currently kind of blank. Professor Rex is their psychology teacher. Glocks is their owl animal companion. And this is the very, very basic overview. I don't know if you can safely zoom in. I know mine. I've tried it earlier. We'll get a little bit... Well, actually, it's in the direct program. I might be able to work with it. The last time I tried to zoom in, it got blurry. But I am in slides, so it might be okay. Alright, I'm still recording, good. There's Rose's little character sheet. Luna's... I really like you to stay where I can see you. Luna Dragonova. Rose X, because she is... What was that? She grew up in the adoption process. Luna Dragonova, who is Polish, and specifically Romani. Pearl Okoro, African American, I know, but you gotta understand, I'm too late in the game to change the white-ass name. and I could not figure out how to not do Athena, considering they're all A's, and I have a dog named Athena. That's too much. Let's see. Here's his Glocks. Let me see if I can get y'all where y'all can maybe be able to legibly read everything. Callie, even in the side characters, I go pretty in detail about the characters themselves. That's probably what I've spent the most time on. So that will definitely, those will not only get their own video, most likely each character is going to get their own video because there's a lot on each of them. This was the thing about the backgrounds that were important. Like the classroom is going to be a constant background. The college campus itself, which is highly inspired not just by like Greek architecture, but also specifically by, and they aren't drawn yet, that's why it looks like this, but also specifically by like Winx Club. A lot of the architecture, specifically areas, are very Winx Club specifically inspired. But as you can tell probably already, so are the names from Steven Universe, so are... I know that the costume designer just kept gravitating... She doesn't watch this sort of thing. But she kept gravitating towards... what is that one series of Magical Girl shows? It's in my head. They're pretty standard. Pretty Cure. She kept gravitating towards the Pretty Cure Magical Girl dresses. So that had a lot of influence on their designs. Rosa's apartment specifically is quickly introduced, as is her bedroom. So I basically, if I can find multiple things that I like in different areas, I'll kind of just push all of the things I notice about them. So this is like Ichigo's room, Sailor Moon's room. Don't remember Shugo main character's name off the top of my head, but it's in there. And then there's a Pretty Cure room in there as well. Like I said, a lot of Winx Club inspiration. The classroom itself, this specifically, is pretty close to what I wanted for the classroom. It's not exact, but it's pretty close, and the closest thing I could find. Oy. And this isn't pre fully shiny teacher. It just doesn't have all the details. But Professor X over here, as well as the characters you've seen, if they don't look like they've been clip art, then they were probably drawn by teeth. Like, wait. You can see there's a little bit of clip art in civilian form. Luna over there with the green jacket and everything. But the bow, the arrow, the design that has just a shirt and shorts, and the magical girl form, those are all her. The one with the fancy lettering and the position, that one actually is me. Pearls. Professor X. Like I said, he was pre Pretty detailed, so there's Professor Rex in his design and in his costume. He's still kind of being finished up, but barely. Callie, I need to update still because she actually did get color recently, very recently. So I'll show y'all real quick where that is. I believe it's currently in art chat. Yeah. So here is Callie. She is gonna start out pretty much as your typical bully character. We all gotta have those at the beginning. But there's a reason for it. And a very good reason for it. So, backgrounds are pretty much where I believe I ended this situation here. Oh, no, not quite, because I did go to try to describe the scenes as they happened. This is basically storyboarding before storyboarding is a thing, because my storyboarder seems a bit confused on the job she volunteered for. But, yeah, it's fine. I'll talk to her later about that. But anyway. So, I don't want to spend too long on that because I don't want to spoil everything about the thing. But yeah. Let's see. Is there anything else? For now, on a basic overview thing, and obviously this is my very beginning of trying to do a series like this, and just to get any kind of content out, this is currently my introduction to me making Divine Daughters. So yeah. All the awkwardness is fully on purpose, because like I said, essentially, make the mistakes. You can't learn from shit without making mistakes. So, hope y'all enjoyed and that it wasn't too cringy. When did you